Happy Wednesday! Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Today is Wednesday, February 27th, 2019. It is episode 254 of The Daily Dope. So, welcome aboard. It is Wargame Wednesday. I've got a jam-packed show ahead of us. No news tonight. No news tonight. What I'm going to do is I am actually going to unbox and take a first look at SPQR. This is the Deluxe edition. This is a reprint from GMT Games. This has been out of print for quite some time, I do believe. So I'm going to be unboxing, taking a look at this. And as a special Wargame Wednesday bonus, we are going to take a first look at Platoon Commander, Poland Strikes, or I should say Mark H. Walker's Platoon Commander, Poland Strikes from Tiny Battle Publishing. So we've got not two unboxings. Hey, Lead Magnet's already watching. Yay, a twofer. Yes, it's a twofer Wednesday. Yes, it's always two for Tuesdays, right? Isn't that how it works on the various different radio stations? I know in Chicago, I think it was the Loop that used to do two for Tuesdays. It wasn't WXRT. The Loop is gone, unfortunately. XRT, hey, is still around. But I could have swore, I thought it was the Loop that used to do two for Tuesdays, and it'd be two songs from one band, and ooh, yeah. So, yes, we've got a two for tonight. So, if this is your first time tuning in, as Lead Magnet has already pointed out, there's chat available. Yes, that's right. There is chat available. I do pay attention to it as well. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I try to keep some of the stranger commenters at bay. But if you have a question, or maybe you just want to say hello, or if you want to find out something a little more in-depth about Poland Strikes or SPQR, by all means, chime in. I will respond because I do pay attention to the chat. And if you do like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you catch some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel and you like them, please subscribe. Don't forget to ring that little bell, because that will not only notify you when a new video is up on the channel, but it'll also tell you, as far as I understand, when I start streaming live. And I will ask, please tell a friend. Tell a friend about the Gaming Gang. Check out thegaminggang.com, or come on over and check out the YouTube videos as well. So today was kind of busy. I'm gonna start getting in. I'll get into the gaming in just a minute. Today was kind of busy. Today was my final day of my cardiovascular rehab. Yes, that's right. I got, it's like, what am I in? Like kindergarten or something like this? So the nurses over at my cardiovascular rehab gave me this little, yay, Jeff graduated. So, pretty funny. Although it says phase 2. What was phase 1? The heart attack itself? So, I don't know. So I thought that was kind of funny. And a big thank you to my nurses that I worked with throughout the past, gosh, what was it? Was it 36 visits that I went through 3 times a week? So we had Kelly and Nikki and Danielle. Danielle loved me sharing my little oddball ghost stories and that. I always had to make sure I had story time ready when I came in, and Danielle was working, so I would share different like true ghost stories or just weird ghost stories, like Detlef Pass. If you're not familiar with that, it's really creepy, from back in the 50s when those Russian hikers died mysteriously. And I hear they've reopened the investigation. And then there was also Tara. So a big thank you to all of the nurses that I worked with over at Rush Copley's cardiovascular rehab. So sweet. So I am done with that. Hopefully I'll never have to go to something like that again. Not that it was tough. It was just basically exercising and having, you know, the diodes or whatever the hell they call them on you so that they could monitor your heart rate and stuff like that. So anyway, so pretty cool. That is all finished up. All right, so if you did not watch yesterday, oh, hey, so Led says, congrats, keep up the good work, stay healthy. The alternative is not pleasant. Yeah, being on the wrong side of the grass probably is not going to be too cool. So I was going to say, as I glanced down to take a look, see what's going on as far as like dropped frames, we got a few, not terrible. We've got a few. So we might see a little, there might be a little hiccup in the video. But I was going to say, if you didn't watch last night, I changed up some stuff because on the Monday show, I did a really in-depth kind of how to play and did a review for a game called Millennium Blades, which was really good. Gave it a 9.1 out of 10, even after not liking the paper money and being sort of meh on the artwork. And for some reason, things were spiking. So the CPU was spiking. So it's all, the sound is fine, but the video itself is all choppy. So made some changes, swapped a few things around. So last night during the stream, people were in chat and they were saying, hey, you know what? This is a lot sharper, a lot smoother. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that will be the case tonight. Looks like we had 166 drop frames, which is weird. It seems as if the drop frames always happen within the first, say, 5 minutes of the show. I don't know. And I had thought the drop frames were specifically because of the internet, right? So my upload, but I guess that may not be the case because I think when the CPU is working a little too hard, it drops frames. Yeah, and it's dropping some frames again. So I'm going to go in here because it's not bad enough where I would have to restart the show. But I am going to go and I am going to try to change this up a little bit. I'm not sure if this will do it on the fly or not. But yeah, now it's showing like 1.4% drop frames. So change some settings. I don't know. I don't know if those settings are going to take effect because it looks as if. So this is what I don't get. Let me try something else here because it's showing the kill. It's supposed to be a constant bit rate. Let me just change to what it was before. Let's see what we get. Okay, so Eric Burden. Hey, hi Eric. Thanks for popping in. Says, seems to be working pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to switch some stuff up a little bit. The reason why I was kind of curious, because I have it kind of set at, okay, well, this is supposed to be the maximum kilobits per second. So that's where it's supposed to, like, it shouldn't go higher than that, right? I'm looking, it's like way over it. So it's like, what the hell's going on? It's supposed to be what it's supposed to be running at, not higher. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So, moving right along, let's get on into the first unboxing because, so Eric says, very clear picture, very cool. Hey, Flaming Heron's popping in. Having a few issues still, not too bad. It's just a few little drop frames. And the thing is, I don't like the drop frames because when I have folks in chat like we do tonight, we usually have a pretty good conversation going on. We're talking about different things. And if there's like hiccups in the video that are bad enough, I can't share that video. I can't leave the video up on YouTube. I have to replace it with the recording that I'm doing at the same time because the recording won't have the drop frames. Strangely enough, it's just the stream that drops the frames. Looks like we're still at the same amount, but magnet, it haven't. You see, that's what was going on one time when I had a CPU spike. Not the one where it's the video's all choppy, but from Monday. But this is from a few months ago. It was like this. And when the frames drop, I'll be in the middle of a sentence, and then it picks up with like the end of a completely unrelated sentence. So it's like I'm just babbling on like an idiot, which I normally do anyway. Maybe not like an idiot, but I do babble on. All right, so anyway, let's take a look at the deluxe edition of SPQR from my good friends over at GMT Games. The game is designed by Richard Berg and Mark Herman, with artwork and graphic design provided by Roger B. McGowan, Leland Myrick, I should say, that's a guess, sorry, and Mark Simonich. The game is for 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 3 or more hours. This does carry an MSRP of $105. That is right. This has been out of print for quite some time. Let's switch on over to the other camera. Hey, Ghost is popping in. Ghost World is popping in. Yes. Yeah, it's about that time that Ghost usually swings on in, about 15 minutes into the show. Okay, so we've got SPQR. Oh, I should point out. So I started the show a couple minutes late tonight. Got down. I'm all set. I'm all good to go. And realized my reading specs were still upstairs. So I had to go get them. All right, so anyway, this is a game of ancient warfare. This is the Great Battles of History, Volume 2. I think, now I'm not positive, but I think this has been out of print for about 4 years. So this is a new edition. I don't believe that they have changed anything. I don't think GMT changed anything. I just think this is simply a new edition, a new print run of it. So, for the Roman Republic, the path to military preeminence in the Mediterranean world was neither easy nor direct. The Romans were blessed with a large patriotic pool of citizen soldiers who were the salvation of the country on many occasions. However, they were cursed by a political system that often gave command of armies to inept consuls who were inflexible military leaders. Time after time, the Roman Republic suffered horrific defeats due to these circumstances, but survived, learned to adapt, and ultimately perfected the most capable and powerful army of the age. Why, yes, it did. Explore the evolution of the Roman military system from the early battles against the brilliant but quixotic Pyrrhus of Epirus. Well, see, now I know what a Pyrrhic victory is, but Pyrrhus? I don't know. Maybe that's pronunciation. I'm pretty up on ancient history, but not. It's not like I'm an expert. As my dad would say, I know enough to be dangerous. That's about how it works. All right, you guys are kind of... Yeah, Ghost says, yeah, you can start the party now. I'm here. Mm-hmm. Yes, all right. Starting the party now, aren't we? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to mispronounce a bunch of these battles. Deluxe SPQR contains... it says the original SPQR game contained 5 classic ancient battles. Deluxe SPQR contains those 5. Zama, Cannae, Bagratis Plains, and Beneventum. Plus 9 more battles, which Jeff is going to mispronounce as well. Most of the new SPQR battles come from long out-of-print SPQR game modules: Pyrrhic Victory, Consul for Rome, Africanus, I believe it was pronounced Africanus, not Africanus, War Elephant, Jugurtha, and from C3I Magazine. What is that? You know, side note, I have actually never had a chance to review an issue of C3I Magazine, surprisingly enough, especially when they have, you know, like actual games in the issues. Now, I think that's a little more recent that they started doing that, because I think didn't Mark Herman do a Gettysburg game that they put in there? Tom Yates is popping in. Hey, howdy, Tom. Glad to have you on board. Okay, so continuing on, step back into the pages of ancient history. You've been elected consul for Rome. Oh man, if I've been elected consul, they're in deep trouble. Take command of your Roman legions, lead them to victory, and see if you can return to Rome leading a triumphal procession. And remember, all glory is fleeting. Yes, that's right. That's why they'll have somebody dressed as a corpse whispering in my ear. Or was it as a skeleton, where you would come riding in triumph and have somebody behind you whispering in your ear, like, you know, you're still just human. You'll eventually be dead. All right, so we get to the various different battles here. I am not even going to take a shot at the various different names. Hey, there's the Great Plains. That I can say. But going from 109 BC to 280 BC. Okay, so very cool. Or I should say 280 BC to 109 BC. The game is for 2 players. It is, let me grab my hobby knife here. For ages 14 and up, shows the complexity is a 6. So usually a complexity level of a 6 is probably closer to a 7. Eric says, good luck getting those early C3I magazines, especially before 20. Rare to find them. Yes, I know that because I was trying to find Down in Flames, because they had done some Down in Flames stuff back when I had the original Down in Flames that I was picking up on the secondary market. And yeah, I couldn't. There was one issue, because I think there's 3 issues that had Down in Flames cards even in it. And there was one that I saw quite a bit, but the other 2 it was impossible. So solitaire suitability is very high. It's a 7. Interesting. I wonder if we've got some sort of AI in here. If we've got some maybe like player aids or something like that for the AI. So I had to laugh. I mentioned this the other night, and I had posted that that I had received SPQR and the 4th Panzer expansion. Might as well pop those right over here real quick. As well as, where did it go? Oh, it's up here. Paths to Glory, back behind me. The new edition, the new print run. And Dave Arneson. So I have to take a stab that Dave Arneson is Dave Arneson Jr., who is, of course, Dave Arneson Sr. would have been one of the co-creators of Dungeons and Dragons, had commented, oh yeah, SPQR is one of the first games I ever played, and had basically his ass handed to him constantly in it. So I thought that was kind of funny. Because it certainly could have been Dave Arneson, the co-creator of D&D, because he's no longer with us. So let's crack this open. This has some good heft to it. Well, a little surprise. We got a little bit of air in the box. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Okay, so we've got the handy-dandy patented GMT baggies. So we got that. Got a 10-sided die. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got the Rome versus the Gauls and Samnites. This is the battle module. We got Deluxe Scenario Pack. We've got a 4th edition scenario book. Wow, look at all these books. Hang on. We've got a rule book. And then we got paper maps. Look, oh my gosh. I can see why we got the paper maps, because we've got a bunch of paper maps. Those are 6. Looks like there's 6. Okay, so first off, let's take a look at the rule book. Take a peek here. So hopefully the video's still nice and clear. I did swap out, because quite a few folks in chat right now were not watching the show last night. Or maybe you were, you just didn't chime in chat. I swapped around cameras again. So I swapped around cameras a bit. I moved this camera like here up a little closer, which I hate. I don't need to be any closer in your face, but I just wanted to get a little more. It's tough to get me as well as what I'm in front of all in focus together on a camera that's not going to cost me $1,000, right? So I kind of moved that, but then I swapped out cameras again and went with my original camera, my newer camera, because it is a clearer image that I get on it, although it doesn't have autofocus. So have to kind of take it as it comes. So here we go. So we got the introduction. We got 4th edition notes. Obviously, it says these rules supersede and replace those of the prior editions and include the basic system errata from all SPQR modules. Significant changes from the 3rd edition rules are noted with a design play note. Okay, so we got components, terminology. I dig. Ghost says trying to reduce the glare. The glare is tough. As I had mentioned last night, and Ghost World was watching, there's no natural light here. There's absolutely no natural light in the Duct Tape Studios. Even when I was shooting the show, when I was streaming during the day early on, first, I don't know, 50 episodes or so, it's just tough. It's just kind of tough. Plus, I had pointed out that, of course, the folks out there who shoot their videos and then they edit their videos and upload them to YouTube or wherever they happen to upload them to, they have the luxury of actually not having to like sit looking at one camera and then have another camera nearby that's filming what you're looking at, because this is a live stream. This live stream is a lot different, and that's why some people out there really dislike. Somebody told me they despise the Daily Dope. I think they probably just despise me. But because of the fact that I don't have $1,000 cameras. I don't have thousands of dollars in lighting and stuff like that. I have to kind of do this. That's why it's called the Duct Tape Studio, because everything's got to put together with duct tape and a little try to be a little bit of a wizard throwing some of this stuff together. Okay, so we're getting some some terminology here. It's got different kinds of units. What I was starting to say is I always like ancient history. I really, really dig ancient history. I like games that focus on ancient warfare as well. So pretty cool. Where granted, yes, you had different tactics, and there were certain technological levels that the Romans had an advantage over, say, the Gauls or something like that, but not a huge amount. So there was pretty much a lot of times it came down to the actual soldiers themselves as well as the leadership. So we're talking about the game scale. So each point of size denotes from 100 to 150 infantry or 100 cavalry. Talking about the different phalanxes, game length, sequence of play. So we had leader activation phase, orders phase, momentum phase, route and reload phase, and withdrawal. So it talks about the leaders, leader capabilities, overall commanders, Roman command, Carthaginian command, leaders and enemy combat units, elephants, elephant command. But I don't remember reading about elephants commanding troops. What's going on with that? Haha. Leader activation and orders. So this is a game where you actually have to issue orders? No, that would make sense. Simply because you don't have that same sort of flexibility. That's why a lot of times you would see, you would tend to see a lot of battles just kind of, start off, and this is even medieval. You would have battles start off with, oh yeah, well, the commanders or kings or whoever, oh yeah, we got it all figured out. This is what we're going to do. And then, sure enough, once once the armies actually engaged, it just became one big mess. John Vogel, hey John, has C3I magazines 11, 12, 15, and 16, which have Down in Flames, which John doesn't play. Thank you so much for the offer. I do have to point out, Down in Flames is kind of, it's Down in Flames itself is no longer with GMT Games. It's over with Dan Verson, because it was actually Dan Verson's. I thought it was Dan Verson's design. I didn't remember seeing him in the design notes for Wild Blue Yonder. So Wild Blue Yonder is actually kind of like the Down in Flames now. I don't know if they've changed the rules where that stuff would still apply or not. I'm not positive. I am keeping my fingers crossed, although I haven't seen anything, that we're going to end up seeing the Pacific Theater get a release, and maybe even the late war for Wild Blue Yonder, whatever GMT wants to call that system now, because we play a lot of Wild Blue Yonder, and it's such a great, easy game to teach people how to play. And we've, with my nephew Cameron, myself, and his friends, we've had 4-on-4 battles. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Talking about stacking here, facing and zone of controls, combat. I have to admit, I saw GMT had done reprints of their Command and Colors, and I was a little disappointed that it didn't appear that they sent those out to reviewers, which is a little unusual, because normally if you're a reviewer and you're in well with GMT, they send everything that they print, regardless if it's like the third time they've done a print run or not, they'll send it to you. But I was a little bummed that I didn't get a wave of Command and Colors Ancients. I didn't need the Napoleonics, because I had those before, but I really hadn't had the Ancients. And I think Command and Colors works really, really well with Ancient Warfare. So talking about special combat units, Phalanx Defense, Light Cavalry. The Roman Manipular Legion. I am not familiar with that. The major advance in the science of military tactics in this era was the Manipular Legion. I was like, am I looking at that word right? As developed by Rome starting somewhere in the late 3rd century BC, it allowed the Roman strengths, training, and discipline to be translated into a tactical flexibility that often proved superior, even when her generals were not. Therefore, Roman armies have certain advantages, most of which have been discussed above and are summarized in this section. That's weird. I actually have never heard that term before. The effects of combat, cohesion, unit routes, and rallies. Slam into them with some cavalry, watch them collapse. Depletion engaged, that's an optional rule, it looks like. Army withdrawal and victory, and then we've got a rules index. So altogether we have 38 pages in the rules. Yeah, that's about right for a complexity 7 game. So that is the rule book. So this is the Barbarian. So remember, we've got scenarios from various different SPQR releases. So I'm taking a guess that we're going to see each of these is going to kind of be almost like the playbooks we'll see from GMT. So we've got changes and additions to the rules. Then we start getting into the various different scenarios that, sorry, I just not getting even attempt to pronounce. We've got competitive play notes. I could have swore SPQR has been out for quite a long time. I don't think this is a game that originally came out in the 21st century. Somebody out there is obviously going to correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought this is I thought this is a classic rule set, a classic game. All right, so this looks like this is a lot of the Romans versus the Gauls here. Oh yeah, that is going to be a pretty big battle there. I can tell you that right now. Always dig the historical info that's in the various different like playbooks, things like that from GMT. Always worth the price of admission. So that is the Barbarian. Then we've got the SPQR Deluxe scenario pack. So we've got more battles here. And of course, with wow, that's a seriously large map there. I'm going to take a stab that we're going to see that our paper maps are going to be dual-sided, and that some of them are going to be pretty good size. All right, so let me pop back here. Hey, okay, so Glenn Darren's popping in. I believe Glenn might be a new viewer. Hi, Glenn. Looking forward to some SPQR. Is the rulebook on flat gloss paper or shiny gloss paper? It is flat. That's why we're not seeing any glare at all. There you go, 1996 or 98. Cool, thanks, Eric. Yes, because like I said, I thought this has been out as a blob of cat hair goes floating past my face here. I thought this came out before the turn of the 21st century. Or at least the system itself. Not necessarily SPQR, but the system itself. So, alright. One of the other things I was going to mention is I always find it interesting that, especially with conflict simulations or war games that are taking kind of a period of history, but with various different combatants, and maybe we're talking about like 200 years, how you'll have like each scenario is going to have like some special rules, right? So we got special rules here to bring out that historical flavor. All right, there we go. So taking a peek here. I may miss it, but is this game broken up into eras during the Roman Empire? It's about 100 and I think it's about 100 years. I think it's about 100 years is what we're looking at. 100 and maybe 200. So let's see what else we've got. Oh, 1991. Yeah, okay, that's even further back. Glenn says, hello, not brand new, but fairly new. Plan on hanging around some more. Hey, everybody's welcome to hang out. As long as they can handle my, just going off on tangents and just, talking in chat and things like that. Okay, so I'm taking a guess. I think these are the scenarios. These are the battles that were in the original SPQR, is what I'm taking a stab at. Hasdrubal. So we've got the Carthaginians here. Very nice. Very cool. Yeah, Cornelius Scipio. For some strange, what is the deal with the Romans with everybody Scipio? Scipio, son of Scipio, who was the son of Scipio, whose grandfather was also named Scipio. It's like, what? That's why the only Scipio I ever really can remember is Scipio Africanus. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's sort of like, well, yes, I'm John, son of John, whose father was named John, and I'm going to name my son John. And by the way, we're only going to go by first names in this society here. So, anywho, I granted, yes, I know they belong to different families and things like that, but the Romans did not use necessarily last names the same way that were surnames. What are surnames? Surnames would be your first name. They don't use last names as we do. Wow, there are a lot of battles in this. Battle of Great Plains. There are a lot of battles with this Subaru. Has Drew Bolt, I should say. There we go. Cornelius Scipio again. No, I am Spartacus. Let's see. Not just IUS to your name, and you're suddenly Roman. Yes. I am Jeffrius. That would be it, Jeffrius. Yes, huge amounts of family names. Yeah, better than Game of Thrones. Hey, I'll tell you what. You know what drives me nuts? Because I'm a huge fan of role-playing games. That's what I talk about on Thursdays. I can't stand when you get like a supplement, a source book, adventure, what have you, and it's as if the authors decided we're going to make sure that you have absolutely no chance to pronounce all of these names, or that, you know, a bunch of like hyphens and crap like that. It's like, give me a break. It's like, come on. All right, so then we've got the 4th edition scenario book. So I'm taking a guess that these were brand new. So these were new scenarios. Didn't we have a battle that started 108 BC? 109 BC. So we are looking, so the question posed was, does this tackle different eras? It tackles a period of about 200 years. So, the Battle of Beneventum. Rules for competitive play. I find it interesting that it seems like every one of these scenario books kind of repeats some info, like this rules for competitive play stuff. Okay, so we've got that. There we go, Hannibal. Now we start getting into little Hannibal Barca. Very cool. Battle Zama. There we go. There's Scipio Africanus. So that is Cornelius Scipio. Proconsul P. Cornelius Scipio, I think. But Scipio's father like had the same exact name, I thought. I don't know. I think this is the campaign that Scipio actually gets the nickname Africanus. King Philip V of Macedon. Wow. Sweet. I'm waiting to dig into the counters, because we're going to see a lot of cool counters. All right, so finally we get into some designer notes, a learning scenario. Cool. We get a few pages of designer notes. I always dig the designer notes. And then some sources. Sweet. Interestingly enough, I get most of my ancient history information from like lecture series, like the Learning Channel or Teaching. What is it? Teaching Channel or something like that. So yeah. So over the years, that's pretty much how I've kind of gotten it, listening to various different lecture series. Okay, so we got a bunch of maps, we got a bunch of counters, we got a bunch of play aids. So let's do this. Let's look at the play aids, because interestingly enough, this seems to be in a different order than we're used to seeing stuff in a GMT box, right? So we're used to seeing the rule books, then we're used to seeing, normally we'll get the player aids, then the counters, then the maps. But for some reason, the maps are all on top. So I'll save the maps for last, because we're probably not going to have enough room. I'll move this box too. We're probably not going to have enough room to actually see the entire maps. Difficulty rating on this one is 6. And I always point out the difficulty rating for GMT just in my opinion, right? And I do not consider myself, you know, like a vastly knowledgeable war gamer. I played way more war games back in the day, back, you know, in the 80s and early 90s than I do today. But so I usually find that the complexity level for average gamers, right? Average war gamers, I guess we'll say, is usually a little low. So Glenn, on this, it's 6 with a 7 for solitaire suitability. So, so Eric says the 2008 version was all black and white. Yeah, I believe that. I easily believe that. Because I know there are some... I started the gaming gang in 2010, and GMT was on board with us like right away. And I do recall there were some of their rule books were all black and white. In fact, I think some of their play aids were also just black and white, no, without any color. So this is player aid card 1. So obviously enough, depending on which series of battles you're going to be diving into, you're going to be utilizing different player aid cards. So looks like we got 2 copies of 1. We got 2 copies of 2. Yep. 2 copies of 2, and then we've got a game turn track. So let's take a look at this one here. We got movement costs, showing us different terrain, and cohesion penalties, depending on what kind of unit it is. Rally table, die roll of doom. No kidding, I'm not making that up. It is a die roll of doom. That's funny. I kind of like that. Elephant Rampage table. So we've got Clash of Swords, and I should say spears and swords. I was going to say swords and spears. That's not how it's written, Jeff. It is Clash of Spears and Swords chart. So it's showing us the various different classes. So as we noticed in the rules, and that facing is very important for the units. I know, depending on scale, a lot of times facing really doesn't matter. Of course, with the scale where it was telling us about 150 individuals, infantry, or about 100 cavalry, facing is going to be very, very important. So we've got shock superiority, shock combat results, and then we've got stacking charts, because it looks as if we have different stacking limitations or restrictions based on the type of unit it might be. So we got 2 copies of Player Aid 1. Then we've got Player Aid card 2. So we got cohesion hits and TQ charts. So maybe we aren't utilizing different cards for different periods. I guess it would basically be based on the unit, on the type of unit. So I guess that's what we're looking at here. So we've got even more charts on here. So we got cohesion hits and TQ charts, automatic cohesion hits, which I find interesting that except for a few battles in ancient history, really, for one, we can't necessarily always go on what the historians of the day say, because otherwise, we're sitting there and what Xerxes had 1 million troops invading Greece. It's like, I don't know about that. But usually your casualties were very low. You did not have to sustain very many casualties for the units to begin to break or rout, as opposed to, even if we look at, AD. So, yes, history written by the victor. Yes, all history is written by this guy named Victor. This guy's been around forever. It's like Methuselah. So we got command summary charts. So I'm taking a guess. I would hope we've got like counters. We've got command chits that we're going to use. That you're not actually writing them down on paper. Missile range and results. Roman camp terrain effects. Whoops, as that flies out of my hand practically. We've got leadership checks. Leadership casualties. I always dig games of a scale where you can have leaders taken out of action, killed, stuff like that. That's one of the things, going off on a little tangent again, one of the things that I have played some Civil War games, American Civil War games, and if they don't have that in the, bring that factor in, leadership casualties, I'm like, oh, this game's just, no, there's no way. Because it was so frequent. So, yes, Ghost says, yeah, Victor really knows how to write. The movie 300 wasn't historically accurate. Their abs weren't even historically accurate. So, I gotta admit, I did like that movie, though. Just super bizarre Frank Miller. If you're familiar with Frank Miller's comics, like his run on Daredevil and stuff like that, Frank Miller is kind of he's cool, kind of an odd duck, a little bit of an odd duck. All right, so then we got the game turn track, gives us our sequence of play. I was gonna say, should be only one side on this if we're tracking our turns. Okay, so those are the player aids. Let's take a look at some of these counters, because we've got a lot of counters. And I am actually going to zoom in for this. Let's pop in here. Let's get a better look. First of all, these are upside down, but all right, let's take a look to see what we've got here. So these are barbarians. So it looks like these are leaders here. That's what it looks like to me. These are legions. So those are the Romans there. These are Samnites. Oh, well, at least we see, it's going to tell us each of the, I'm going to take a guess, these are commanders again, maybe? Yeah, I think so, because it looks as if it's the Roman helmet. And then I see they've got, like, star ratings, too. So I got to be honest, I'm not sure what that represents, but hey, I have never played this game, so... but I'm pumped to get into it. Unfortunately, the worst part is that I probably I have a hard time getting this to the table much. Number one, with that complexity level, that's gonna be a tough one. But I'll get Cameron or Elliot to at least get a few games in. I'm sure it'll have to be like learning scenarios, and that'll be about it. But, so we got Celts, we got Gauls, so we got some Celtic cavalry down here as well. Celtic chariots, too. Are they pulled by goats? I'm looking to see if they're pulled by goats. Don't look like they're pulled by horses. Well, maybe they are. Can't really tell. Okay, so we've got that, and these are dual-sided. So I wonder if we've got, do we have step reduction here? 6/8. No. Huh. Although we have a white line, well, we have a colored line that runs through on the back, but I'm not seeing a change in their actual numerical factors here, like right here. Huh, interesting. I wonder if this, with the stripe across the back, maybe they've lost cohesion that way. I'm not sure. Okay, so that is the first counter sheet. We got, there are 6. We've got 6 counter sheets. Just kind of take a look at each of these real quickly. I'm taking a guess that these are spearmen here. There's Hannibal. Woohoo! Hey, Hannibal. Very cool. There is just... The funny thing, too, is they're all color-coded. So if you're going to be sitting there taking... You're going to need more than GMT's normal allotment of baggies here for all this stuff, because you have got loads and loads of different units. Well, you figure you're looking at like about a 200-year period here. Once again, dual-sided. Pretty sweet. Here we go. More colors. Colors of the rainbow here. Yeah, wow. These are nice. Good thickness. Very nice thickness on these counters, too. I'm starting to really dig, and of course, I will talk about the sponsor of Wargame Wednesdays in just a moment. But I got to point out that I'm really starting to dig the bigger, chunkier counters, like you see my friend Mark H. Walker over at Flying Pig Games. The nice big inch counters. Now, of course, granted, we have so many counters in this game that there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Yep, pH is phalanx. Yep, that's what I figured. Are they thicker than normal? No, this looks like about the same thickness for most GMT. Yep, and they're all dual-sided. So far, every one of these sheets is dual-sided. Okay, and then we've got some informational markers here. So, we've got all of this. Then we do have some more units down here on the bottom. And then, if you thought that was it for all the units, no. We still have 2 more counter sheets. Very nice. And then this is the final counter sheet right here. So, yeah. So the pH, yeah. So the pH would be a phalanx. No wonder they're bigger. They're like dual, twice as wide as the standard counters here. Good call. Good call, Led, on that on the phalanx. Very nice. Although I gotta admit, I did not see something that was. I didn't see counters that are like order counters, but I don't know. I have no clue. So we've got 5.5 counter sheets. Let me zoom back out because we're going to take a look at the maps to finish up. That should be okay. That should be all right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 maps. Taking a guess, we're looking at dual-sided maps as well. Yep, sure enough. And of course, yes, they are paper maps. If these were mounted maps, you'd be probably looking at another $50 or more to the MSRP. Although I have to say, the terrain is there we go. There we go. It's something a little more eye-catching as far as the terrain, as opposed to just elevations. So these are just elevations here. So looks like we've got a little informational box. Okay, so here we've got a little terrain key up here. Here looks like we've got looks like an outpost, fortress of some sort. Fort is my guess. Now, each side have the terrain key. Yep, a little bit of a terrain key. So these are for, and it'll tell us each of the battles that these are for. And we've got off-map cavalry for this battle. I did not see that box. Nope, that box is not on this side. All right, so got that. Yeah, it would have been nicer to see a little. I mean, granted, the counters are really nicely done. I like the artwork on the counters, but these maps are a little bland. This looks a little different. A little bit different terrain here. Right here. Oh, hey, so we got something going on this one. Just a little more more greenery, more woods, forest, possibly. Just like so. All right, you know what? We got 2 more maps. This one's like almost like, okay, this is just blank. Now there's some water there, but for the most part, that's it. There's a little bit of an elevation here, but that looks like that's everything else between. Looks like it's all just blank fields. Ghost says, yeah, personally, I like mounted maps myself, but I could see mounting these maps is would add quite a bit of cost. Although, I don't know. I'm not positive if GMT may be considering offering these as mounted maps, because you figure it's been so long since this deluxe edition was available, you would maybe think that they would offer the mounted maps. But seriously, you'd probably be looking at maybe 70, 80 bucks. The paper thickness is okay. I know there are a lot of people out there, a lot of wargamers who like the paper maps, because they'll have like glass, or they'll have like plexiglass, big sheets of plexiglass that they just lay down on top of the paper maps. Who was it that was talking about that they live in Colorado? This was, I want to say it was last week. We were talking on Wargame Wednesday, and they said, you know what, they don't like mounted maps because where they're at, the mounted maps tend to warp. So there, I think it's Lead Magnet, if I remember correctly. I think it's Lead who mentioned that last week. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I thought it was. All right, so let's put all of these goodies back. So we've got all the maps. So we got 6 maps. We've got 5.5 sheets of counters. We've got the game turn track. We've got 2 sets of player aid cards for the 2 players. We've got the SPQR scenario book. We've got the Deluxe scenario pack. We've got the Barbarians with the Roman versus Gaelic, or some people say Gallic, and the rule book. And that is, oh, wait, let's not forget the Baggy's Hand, the 10-sided die. And that is what we find when we take everything from SPQR outside the box. As I mentioned, this is available from GMT Games. It is out now. This just came out in their last wave of games that shipped to reviewers. So usually what happens is from the ship date for the reviewers to get their copies, it's normally about a month. So yes, I have learned that when I see something shipping, I'm kind of like, okay, hopefully I'll see that in about a month or so. So anyway, but it is for 2 players. It carries an MSRP of $100. I want to make sure I don't have it upside down. There's an MSRP of $105. As I always mention with GMT titles, if you have any interest in picking this up, you want to grab it as soon as you can. All right, Nefarious Coel says, got theirs about a month ago, right? Because I dread punching and clipping the horde of counters in it. Yes, I believe that. Just like when I was doing the Commands and Colors Napoleonics, It's like, oh, the stickers on the blocks. It's like, oh, can I hire somebody to do this? Anywho, but as I was saying, if you have any interest in picking it up, grab it while you can. Because, as I mentioned before, this has been out of print for quite some time. I think the last time it was available was a print run in 2015. Now, I might be wrong. It might have been 2008. But I could have swore I thought I saw something saying that it had been out. Maybe it was just a core game that was printed back then in 2008. All right, so I should point out, let me take a quick peek here. As a bonus, we're going to take a look at Mark H. Walker's Platoon Commander Poland Strikes. This is going to be very quick because it's from Tiny Battle Publishing. It's pretty small footprint games, but I do want to mention that, hey, guess what? Yes, Wednesdays on the Daily Dope are sponsored by both Flying Pig Games as well as Tiny Battle Publishing. So my good friend Mark H. Walker is the mastermind behind both those companies. So if you are looking at some bigger footprint, bigger epic conflict simulations, by all means, you want to check out Flying Pig Games. Their latest release is actually based on the Platoon Commander series. That's right, because it's Platoon Commander Deluxe, the Battle of Kursk, which I will be reviewing in about a week and a half. So stay tuned for that. And of course, if you're looking for smaller footprint, kind of different games in various different eras, even science fiction games, then by all means, check out Tiny Battle Publishing. All right, so I bet you Ghost World knows what time it is. Yes, that's right. It is time to bring down Lil Whizbub. That's right, Lil Whizbub. Because if you are a fan of the Daily Dope or the Gaming Gang, or both, then please consider making a donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. So, Lil Bub's Big Fund actually supports organizations that care for special needs animals who are awaiting adoption. Yes, that's right. So 100% of all funds raised by Lil Bub's Big Fund is granted out to organizations around the United States. And do want to mention 100%. So I am going to quickly share a video from Lil Bub herself. Now, I always point out this video is a few years old, but this fund has actually raised over $500,000 to support special needs animals. Very, very cool. So, I still hate the way now that this new updated version of the software that I'm using to do the stream is just like not doing a fade into the images. It's just like, boom, here's the image. Whoa. Whereas before, it's always like nice little fade, just like when it fades over to me, like so. Da-da. Anywho, but I always like to point out that the Gaming Gang, as well as the Daily Dope, is not for profit. No, you don't see me going, oh, hey, ho, ho. So if you do definitely dig what I share on both the website as well on the show, consider, making a small donation to the ASPCA. Yeah, a couple bucks, $5, what have you. If you do happen to make a donation, be sure to shoot me an email. My email address is right there in the bottom corner of the screen, and I will give you a shout out on the following show. Okay, so moving along, we're gonna kind of zip through this kind of quick because we're over an hour already. So I am going to be taking a look at, see how that just goes boom, as opposed to a nice fade segue. We're going to take a look at Mark H. Walker's Deluxe Platoon Commander Poland Strikes from Tiny Battle Publishing. Designed by, yes, you guessed it, my friend Mark H. Walker. With artwork and graphic design provided by Ilya Kudrysov. Taking a stab. The game is for 1 or 2 players, ages 12 and up, plays in around 45 minutes to 2 hours. Does carry an MSRP of $24. It's normally $28. You can get this in print and play from Wargame Vault for an even $10. And of course, I do want to mention, if you're going over to Wargame Vault or any like drive-through RPG, drive-through comics, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners for the drive-through sites. That way, if you go to any of the sites and make any kind of purchase, I get a little piece of that. Little tiny one. All right, so Bub Strikes Back. The Bub Strikes Back. The little Bub Strikes Back. Yes. See, Ghost knows, because Ghost watches the show almost every night. So Ghost is pretty used to seeing a little Bub. Okay, so let's move on over to the other camera. So we got Poland Strikes here. If you have any interest in checking out the big Mark H. Walker's Platoon Commander Deluxe, the Battle of Kursk, and you're kind of up in the air about the system itself, even though this is World War II, this is kind of a World War IV, by all means, you might want to check out Poland Strikes, because it'll give you an idea of how the system works. So let's get this out of the Ziploc bag. This actually first appeared in an issue of Yeah Magazine. Yes, if you have not checked out Yeah Magazine, it is a gaming magazine from Tiny Battle Publishing. It is, yeah, it's Tiny Battle. I was gonna say, or is it through Flying Pig Games? Tell you in a sec. Hang on. I got a stack of goodies. Yeah is from, well, it doesn't say. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Yeah is actually from Flying Pig Games. Anywho, Yeah Magazine features a free game. I guess maybe I shouldn't say free game. It features a game in every issue. And I do want to point out, the games are actually playable. It's not like Decision Games, right? So you actually get a game that you can play. You can enjoy it. So if you don't have at least 10 different versions of Stalingrad you aren't trying. Yes, there's kind of a discussion about World War II gaming going on in the chat at the moment. I have to be honest, I don't see the need for another Bulge game ever. But I know Mark's got one on the horizon. So I know, I was teasing him. If you did not check out the interview that I did with Mark a few weeks back, it was pretty funny. Mark's always fun to talk to. All right, let's see. What do you got? We got some information on the back? No, we got an ad. All right, so much for the ad. What do we got here? General concepts. Come on, Mark, where's the setup? What's going on here? I know it's kind of a World War IV. What's going on with this? Poland strikes. I don't know. What is Poland striking? So it's the Poles and Hungarians. Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3 scenarios. Okay, but I don't see any setup. Okay, so Sticks and Stones. I'm sure you don't have to have Sticks and Stones, which is another Platoon Commander title, which is kind of a future war future-ish war. But that has kind of a setup. I'm not really seeing any kind of a setup here. It's just saying, okay, important notes. These are the version 1.5 rules. Okay, I see that. Talking about general concepts. The map is a fictitious landscape over which units do battle. An outline of play. So you're going to determine initiative. We have action cards, which I will crack these open so you can take a peek at these. So we got drawing action cards, rally phase, fire phase, movement phase, close assault phase, housekeeping phase. That's when Alice comes by. Aid and focus phase, advanced turn marker. So we got aid and focus, fire combat, results combat, wire guided missiles, opportunity fire, flanking fire, movement, a line of sight, close assault, fire support, and that is it. That is it for the rules. So, pretty easy to jump into these. With the Platoon Commander series, let's see if I move this up, take these off. Let's see if this will focus in halfway decent. Yeah, it looks like it's halfway decent focused. But if you notice the various different units, so for an example, let's look at the armor here. They have these color-coded boxes with numbers in it. Those kind of set up what the range is. So you know right away. Polish Revenge, I guess. I guess it must be. So Eric says this has to be easier to play than GMT's Next War series of games. Come on, I like GMT. And you know the Next War series, that's Gene Billingsley's baby. But all right, off the record, right? It's just us, right? Nobody's going to see this. It's just us. I agree. The Next War series is, in my opinion, right? It's just my opinion. It's all it is. To me, it's super, super complex. I'm like, oh, jeez. It's like, no. This series isn't for me. Isn't for me. But I mean, there's a lot of people out there who love it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not my kind of game. It's just too much. Now, maybe granted, back in the day when, you know, we were playing a lot of Squad Leader and a lot of the old Avalon Hill stuff, Gunslinger, all those other ones. It's Gunslinger, not Gunfighter. Yeah, I think it's Gunslinger. When it was like, oh yeah, I don't mind like tons and tons of rules. Maybe it would have been better suited back then, but these days it's just I don't want to just have to sit there and dive into all these rules to play something. Eric agrees. Yeah. Oh yeah. Come on. This is a tiny battle game. You'll jump into it. 8 rules. 8 pages of rules. Not even. Was it? Yeah, 8. And I mean, look at that. Yeah, huge font. You got some images here. And Platoon Commander Deluxe is pretty similar. The Battle of Kursk. It has just more kind of drilled down specifics as far as some rules. So I have yet to get that to the table. I'm hoping to get that out fairly soon. I do want to point out that the counters, the punch boards for the counters, I have noticed is a little bit thicker these days. Now, when I did a review for Invaders from Dimension X, which is designed by my good pal Herman Lutman, I really liked the game, but I had mentioned, wow, the counter sheet is just really, really thin. And I know Mark took a little exception to that. And so did Herman. They were like, I don't know what he's talking about. And it's like, yeah, the counters are really, really thin. They are a little bit thicker now, I have noticed. They are a little bit thicker. Not as thick as those GMT counters we were looking at. But still pretty thick. Okay, so then we've got the action cards. So, the action cards, what do we got? Maybe 18 cards here? You're going to see that these action cards are going to have one for the Poles, one for the Hungarians. So you can see we've got Kill Them All, Fire support. Hey, kill them all. Is it just gonna? It's always just gonna be kill them all. Zopleski. I used to. Okay, so I used to live in when I lived in Chicago. I happened to spend a lot of time. I was living in, and now I'm Irish, right? I'm Irish and German. I lived in a predominantly Polish area, and I would go into like like the deli or whatever, butcher shop, whatever you want to consider it. I go into like the little stores and stuff, and right away the assumption was I was Polish. I'd be like, they'd start talking to me in Polish, and I'd be like, nope, 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 no, no, moimi poposku, nope, nope, nope. So, but I always thought that was kind of fun. And then it was like they were super friendly, and then when they realized I wasn't Polish, they weren't as friendly anymore. So, it's sort of like, okie doke. Chemical weapons. Faulty ammunition. Remember Budapest. Orlik's Ghost. Okay. Alright. So I wish there was some, like, story to this. I know Mark is usually big on providing, like, a big story behind everything. I'm not seeing anything in this. Okay, so we've got just the single-sided paper map. There we go. Yeah, pretty decent paper stock. It's got a gloss finish to it, as you can see. It's not just matte. Then we've got the player aid, so these show fire results. As I had mentioned, we've got the color range explanation here, because I had pointed out that some of the colors in the boxes will tell you, oh, well, okay, that's the range that this can fire to. Close salt table. They got a terrain effects on the back. So we have the player aid, we got the map, we've got the action cards, we've got the cool counters. See, this is one of the things that I like how Mark does this, and this is one of the ways that you're going to be able to introduce relatively easy to get into war games such as Platoon Commander series. Is if we take a look with the infantry, yeah, there's the icon, but there's also the individual soldier on it, and I know with some people that I personally know who might actually have some sort of an interest in some conflict simulation games, when you start busting out counters and all it's got is the iconography on them, no tank image, anything like that, it's just like the NATO icons, their eyes glaze over. I've seen my nephew do that. Their eyes glaze over. It's like, I don't know, how do I know this is artillery and not infantry? How do I know this is mechanized infantry? These are mechanized brigades. It's like, okay. That's one of the things I definitely dig. We see with a lot of the Tiny Battle Publishing stuff, as well as the Flying Pig game stuff, and that is that it's traditional. I mean, the game mechanics aren't just 1970s, hex and counter games that we've seen forever sorts of games. They're modern designs, but I like how Mark and his design team, Greg Porter, great example, Herman Luttman, my good buddy, right, bring a modern sensibility to the games, but those games still appeal to the old school die-hard war gamers, as well as present a little bit of visual pop to draw in new gamers. So, and I'll give you a great example. Like my nephew Cameron, he's 17. He's a member of the gaming gang. He's into history. He likes, thanks to his cool uncle, right? But he's like to check out some of the war games and stuff like that with me. But like I said, when he sees it looks like the old kind of, wow, this is an SPI kind of game. Oh, yeah. And, I'm not going to take that one game company I mentioned earlier out to the woodshed again. But stuff like that doesn't bring new people into the hobby. And the thing is, one of the aspects of Mark being a sponsor on Wargame Wednesdays is Mark knows that I have, unlike other people who cover war games, I have an appeal to people who are into role-playing games and Euro games and thematic games and all different kind of games that maybe they catch an episode where I'm talking war games. They're like, "Hey, man, that sounds pretty cool. I'd like to check that out." So Nefarious says they're not moving to Poland in case we have the World War IV. All right. So once again, as I mentioned, Platoon Commander, Poland Strikes! Exclamation point, is available now from Tiny Battle Publishing. Carries an MSRP of $24, or you can grab the print and play from Wargame Vault for $10. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here, tell you what's on the show the rest of the week, as well as into next week. Just taking a peek at the drop frames. I know, it's showing almost 1% of the frames got dropped. So, I don't know. Do not know. I'm gonna keep playing around with this. So, I know Ghost World is going to be excited about the next couple of shows because Thursdays I cover RPGs, and tomorrow I am going to take a first look and page through The Witcher. Yes, it is the role-playing game based on the hit PC game. Well, I guess they ported it over to consoles too. This is from our Telsorian Games and CD Projekt Red. So that's on tomorrow's show. Friday's show, I'm going back to back with role-playing games. We're going to take a look at the Adventures in Middle-earth Breland Region Guide for 5th edition Tolkien Adventures in Middle-earth. So that's on Friday's show. On Monday's show, I am going to unbox and take a first look at Forum Trajanum from Stronghold Games. This came out last month, so this looks kind of interesting. Supposed to be kind of crunchy too. So obviously, once again, it is a game that is going to be tackling the Roman Empire, but certainly not like SPQR will. So then on Tuesday's show, I am going to review The Boldest, which I did an unboxing and first look of at yesterday. This is also from Stronghold Games. Really, really interesting art style. Pretty cool. Go says, I dropped a link to the Gaming Gang website into the Warhammer 4E Discord chat. Ha ha ha. That's cool. Yeah, you know, my role-playing game coverage, especially when I'm doing stuff for Free League, I get a good amount of views. It's weird. It's very strange. I never know exactly who's going to want to watch what. You're very welcome, Eric. Thank you very much for popping in. Next Wednesday's show, Wargame Wednesday. Okay, it's really not a war game, but it is from GMT. I'm going to be reviewing Space Corp. Yes, Space Corp 2025, 2300 AD. I might actually do a double dip. Maybe do another, well, I can't call it unboxing because they come in Ziploc bags. Do another first look at another title from Tiny Battle Publishing. Then next Thursday, I'm telling you, I've got all this stuff plotted out. I'm going to return to our Telsorian Games, and we're going to take a look at pretty classic steampunk game, Castle Falkenstein, which I have always heard is really, really interesting. And this, what is this? Comme il faut? I don't know. I don't speak French. This is a supplement for it as well. So I'm going to do both of these together on the same night next Thursday. And then on Friday, unless things change, an unbagging, an unzipping. Yeah, I guess we'll say an unbagging. Well, that sounds kind of weird, right? It's like I was unbagging a corpse. Anyway, I will finally do my review for Helios Expanse. Well, for some strange reason, I don't hear anything from Greenbrier Games anymore. Once Julia Hearn moved to back east, I haven't heard boo from them. Got to be honest. I mean, Julie's kind of my pal. But the folks behind Greenbrier Games, for some reason, I always get the impression they don't like me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm not, not like mushmouth, like, like some reviewers out there. I'm not an ass kisser. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Anywho, so that's it for today's show. Wow, that's an hour and a half show. Cool, sweet. Anyway, like I always like to point out when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please stop by thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back tomorrow with our look at the Witcher role-playing game. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.